Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to this other edition of Prime on My Media Prime TV. This evening, we're going to be looking at what we call political representation and accountability. When do our representatives at the local and national level present their balance sheets of what they have done in the course of their respective mandates? We have municipal councillors who are voted into office. They manage municipal affairs. We have MPs who are also voted in our respective constituencies to represent us at the level of the National Assembly, as well as other politically elected officials. To whom do they actually render account, and when do they do that? Do you know when an MP or mayor called its population to tell them that, okay, for the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years, this is what I have done? Or do they only wait for elections to come knocking at our respective doors to ask for another vote? We are going to be discussing this with panelists who are still on the way coming, but with me in the studio already is the editor-in-chief of the African Excellence magazine, coming all the way from Boya, Southwest Regional Capital. Colin Mwapoku, good evening. Glad to have you.
Good evening, Leonard. Thanks for having me on board again on this platform. I want to also greet our televiewers and everyone else. Leonard, I have two things that have marked me that I want to send my word to some personalities, some persons. First of all, my class of Sacred Mancon has been really hard hit by death recently. I have in mind Jacob Minang, who lost the sister, Tasha, who lost the wife. The wife is supposed to be buried soon, and a classmate of ours we lost in Copenhagen 3 days ago. That was on the sad note. But on a very happy note, I want to greet my nieces who have kept, they're keeping a record of Manyis. I have a lone sister, and her first daughter is a Manyi, second daughter is a Manyi.
Wow.
And just recently, the second daughter just the day before yesterday became a Manyi, but the third had already become a Manyi. So we have, in my family, we have 3 Manyis. Not to make you, don't forget that my mom was a double Manyi.
Okay.
So maybe women should be watching out against our men, because they may just end up with quintuplets, that kind of. So that's on a very happy note. My greetings to Rahel, Rita, and Doris. They have all become Manyis.
Okay.
That said, you launched the topic, Leonard,
on political representation and accountability.
Yes. How do they render account? Do they even render account? I think where we should even start is whether at the elections time they have any manifesto that they present to the electorate. Because what I know is that the politicians that we have, especially in our local communities, they simply come out and say they want to be voted. When you look at the manifestos that they present, they are empty. And so at the end of the day, you cannot have an audit trail that they put to be able to give the electorate an opportunity to monitor what they're doing and be able to evaluate them. That's the meaning of an audit trail. If you are a politician, say that this is what you're going to be doing, so that if your mandate is 5 years, you will be measured. Your evaluation will be done based on what you gave in your manifesto. So the failure starts from even the absence of the manifesto. That said, look at the manner in which the elected officials themselves comport themselves. once people have voted, they go into oblivion. And for 5 years, I take the case of councils and MPs and senators and now regional houses. For 5 years, people have voted and they don't have touch with the grassroots. Nobody even knows where some of them are. Some of them have just taken pretext of, especially in the Anglophone regions, they've taken pretext. I call it pretext because the situation is not as bad anymore as it used to be. But people have taken pretext and they have taken on permanent residences in urban areas, in the big cities, establishing their lives and getting into business. And whatever happens to the electorate, those who gave them the vote, doesn't matter to any of them. I can tell you that the politicians who were elected 5 years ago, in 2020, in the 2020, is it 2019? Yeah, you don't see them. You don't see them in the field. But now that time for electoral consultations, political consultations are coming again, they start. You start seeing them surfacing and making some what I call in quotes remarkable utterances that would be able to for them would be able to attract the unsuspecting electorate towards them again. Unfortunately, the electorates are so also uninformed many times that they get fooled. They always get fooled. The other side of it is that once politicians have not given an account, there is a part of the electorate or the part of the population which gets dissuaded from even taking active part in political consultations. So they don't even want to register for elections, and they don't want to vote. They don't want to have anything to do with politics. And so the same people who cannot give account are reconducted in whatever manner, whether elected or not, but they are reconducted to those positions.
Now, political representation, when municipal councillors opt to go to the council, do they really measure the weight of what they're going to do, as well as the MPs and the senators? Even those who are the regional council, do they really know that we are going to sit at the council or at parliament to represent the interest? We're talking about representation here.
Leonard, I think that there's a few persons that may sit down, at the beginning of a mandate, of a certain mandate, and start planning that they want to be councillor, MP in the next 5 years. But this is what I have seen on the ground as a journalist. Many times, when councillors, when it comes to municipal elections, for instance, it's a list system, including the MP. They will be constituted in a list for a particular party. There comes a time when political tussles happen, and on the eve of the investiture, some people are virtually hijacked from their houses to become members of list. So they had no political plan to be councillors, to be MPs, or to be senators. They are virtually just hijacked by political bigwigs to go in for those lists without any political agenda. And so you see a situation where somebody has already declared that I'm going to be I'm going to be standing for councillor without a plan, without a manifesto. They don't know what they're going to be doing there. And so the plan, if there is any at all, the plan is only done when you are already in the office.
Yeah.
That makes that it becomes a game of chance. We try this, it works out. We try that, it doesn't work out. But there's no clear-cut plan that such politicians will sit down and do for the development of the community they are called to serve.
Do they really see themselves more as accountable to he or she who made them become mayors, MPs, or senators, or to the population? Because there is always a very big tussle when it comes to investiture. You need to lobby away. In Yaoundé, you need to lobby away at the different party headquarters for the opposition to make sure that you are also a part of those representing the people, but given endorsement or a pass by party bigwigs.
I think that the manner of the mode that the investiture takes place is even what kills the spirit of development, community development, in the sense that people tend to, the candidates tend to spend a lot of money to get the positions in very unorthodox manner. And when they have spent this money, the first thing they do is to get on board and try as much as possible to recover money that they may have taken loans, or so that money may have come through loans or through some patronizing, which has to be paid back, to whoever gave them. And so whether the grassroots is in need or not, for the bigger part, the larger part of the mandate, they are not seen, the candidates are not seen anywhere. The office holders, the office holders are not seen anywhere, and so the populations can keep suffering. The populations can keep suffering because investiture had taken place in the manner that it took place. Unfortunately, that's what happens, and you cannot have somebody who got to a certain position by using money through stealthy means, using some stealthy means to get a position. You expect that someday he will just come and give an account to the population or to his electorate without trying to also make up for what they consider to have lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Fombi, Frank Samuel was caught in traffic. He's just joined us. Good evening, and we got you.
Good evening, Mr. Combrignac. And I want to appreciate the work that you have been doing for Cameroonians and educating the population. And I thank my co-panelists. And I want to tell the Cameroonians and our viewers that today the subject has been for 65 years without being discussed. So remain tuned and remain connected to my Prime Media.
Okay, we are talking about political representation and accountability. Yeah. What is you are reading? What observation do you have of our political leaders, local representatives at both the local level, at national level? How accountable do they feel accountable to the population?
Our leaders have not been accountable for over 65 years today. And I want really to tell Cameroonians that it is due to our ignorance. Okay. We elect people and allow them go to the field, do the work, and we don't ask them the accountability. But in our meetings, our associations, we always we are always tensed when accountability is not given. It is the civic right of our people to hold their leaders accountable, even the head of state. When I listen to the head of state, this statement, his speech to the population of Cameroon and the world at large on the 31st of December 2024, I thought he was going to give an accountability of what he has been holding. But to my surprise, I got but promises again. We are at the 21st century that citizens should be educated and sensitized how to hold their leaders accountable. It is a civic duty. Let leaders not think as if it's a taboo. It's not a taboo. The civic duty should not end at voting. It should proceed at the level of holding leaders accountable. And that is the education, the sensitization that we want to give to the population of Cameroon. Let them, stakeholders, the Association of the Youths, women, civil society, organize. Go up to the leaders, ask them. And moreover, if it is the head of state, when giving the speech of the 31st December of each year, it should focus on telling Cameroonians what the state, what Cameroon, what the government has done for the years, for the year, not what they think to do. We've long passed those days where speeches has been taking people over. So now, as we really hold to the fact that leaders should be accountable to those who voted them, and it is something that they should not think that there's evolution of democratization of our nation, and democracy holds that citizens or leaders should be accountable. If today we are holding our leaders accountable, they should not think that we have told the red line. Yeah, but we have not told the red line.
You say we have not had accountability.
Over 65
years. At what level? Municipal level or at the level of parliamentarians? Do they really tell us what they do?
You make me laugh, journalist Mr. Leonard. I respect your portfolio and what you've been presenting your writings, you've been presenting your books, and you have been passing the message, educating the population of Cameroon. Today, at any level, accountability is rough, it's not good. Even in our associations, there are associations that are not together today because of accountability. That is where we have to start. Even in the traditional councils, they have not been given accountability to the people. So, I am calling on the population, the citizens of Cameroon. It's a right. Your right don't end at voting. It ends at the fact that hold your Lord Mayors accountable, hold your parliamentarian accountable, hold any type of person that is being voted, even the head of state should be accountable to the population. It is the duty.
We should be accountable to the population. Paul, is the problem not also the fact that the population is unaware of what they expect from the MPs? Do they really know what they should expect from the MPs in our respective quarters where our municipal councillors come from?
And the constituents.
Yes. Do the people really know the duties of either the municipal councillors or the MPs? Because all we know is, okay, when they go, they come, Monsieur le Conseiller, you greet them. Do you really know what
this is what I think, Leonard. A few moments ago, I talked about an audit trail. It is deliberate. It is a deliberate ploy to keep the citizens in ignorance, so that elected officials can thrive in this absence of accountability. I give you an example. If you say you are a council and you have, say, like Buea has 41 councillors, should it not also be the role of Buea, the council, the municipal council, to create programs where every municipal councillor has to take out time, be in the media or where, take out some time in some media to educate the people on what their rights.
Orange au top pour enflammer les fêtes. Yeah, yeah, avec Orange, ah ouais, ça donne. On met le feu parce qu'Orange nous met bien. Orange est chaud le fire. C'était fin d'année. Ne fais pas de jalousie. Ne fais pas sorcellerie. Peut-être que ces gens que t'envies en plus ont seulement souscrit au bonus. Dis seulement Dieu merci pour le souffle de vie.
Constituencies, council constituencies, the MPs do not tell the people what their role is, and so whatever they do, even if the people need fish, they give them stones. They will accept that something has salt, Maggie. We know they will accept that is a huge gesture that has been given them, but they will not know that a municipal councillor can actually bring water to them. But these things are not told them. When it happens, it looks like if you can have a tap opened today and tomorrow it's closed down, and then at the end of the day, it will be that something was given. It's written as an account that will be given after 5 years. That we opened a tap that was open and then closed, and years passed. Where that kind of. So it is, like I said, it's deliberate ignorance, because that makes the elected officials thrive, and that's not only peculiar for municipal councils. It's happened in the past years. So regional councils have not seen education from regional councillors on what they are. I've not seen education in the real sense of it, in the strict sense of it.
Do we really know those representing the population of the respective regions at the regional? Do we even know them?
That is the issue. You don't even know, and so you don't even. At the end of the day, how would you even know whom to hold accountable? So that's it. There are some of them are elected. They are never presented to the populations. In the days of old, we used to know that when people are elected, they come, and there used to be what they call meet the people tour, or homecoming. For instance, yes, meet the people tour. Elected officials, municipal councillors with their mayor will move around the various constituencies and present their councillors so that the populations know them. But tell me what has happened in the past 5 years, for instance. Tell me what has happened in the past 10 years, for instance.
65
I do not know the councillor of where I live. I do not know. I give you my word, I don't know as a journalist. And that's because when I say I don't know, I know the individual, but I do not know the person that makes up that individual, what it constitutes. But others do not even know the face. A greater part of that community does not know the face of that individual. And you talk about the councillor. The councillor should be the one that, his door should be knocked every day. If you say you are in community service. But these are the issues. And it's not only at local level.
At national level also.
National level. At national level, where's the president? Do Cameroonians know their president? If not in pictures. That mama who is there in Likoko Membia, that child who has been born there in the past how many years, has he seen the president physically? That is part of the accountability we are talking about. Where's the president in the past years? Some regions have never, I mean, there are children who have grown and they have grown beards. They have not seen, they have never. If you have had opportunity to see the president, it sounds like a privilege. But that's not what should happen.
Now, we are talking about presenting balance sheet, but before we even go for the votes as municipal councillors or parliamentarians or senators, what is that community or society project we're talking about manifesto, yes, that we are presenting to the people? Do we even tell them that, okay, I want to be a municipal councillor, I want to be a mayor because the route that is leading to this and that is not functional, because I want to organize and clean the markets, I want to, that is, do we really tell the people what is within our competence? Or we go talking about what the president has done or what the president has not done, even when we are vying for local votes? Yeah.
Thank you.
Are people voting for you or are voting for the president?
Thank you, this intelligent journalist that we have in Cameroon, Mr. Leonard. This question is for all Cameroonians, not just me or my co-panelist or you. There's this system of, I always say, community politics should be that type of politics that you choose someone who really represents the interest of the people. But we've gone for so many years thinking that it is the emblem of the party that we vote. No. You can at least know that this one belongs to the opposition party, and you decide, considering his political program or agenda or objectives, you vote him because of the interest of the people of that community or of that constituency or municipality. This is what Cameroonians should know. Voting the party at a level that the person doesn't know the community, as some of the Lord Mayors and parliamentarians are not represented, and they don't have the integrity and the dignity of representing the people. That's the problem. Because when you see, considering the marginalized communities of Northwest, Southwest, and the Northern regions, people are voted. They are not in their constituencies. They are in Yaoundé, Douala, and other towns of Cameroon. What do you really represent to the people? It means you got there by mistake. If really you represent the people that voted you, you're supposed to be there for them, night and day, and you really carry their image. If they come to a constituency, a municipality or a constituency, they want to see the representative. But when they come there, you are not there. Who are you really representing? Oh, to go on and say it the way it is, our nation needs to be revamped. And what is putting us behind are colonial laws. There are some laws that we adopted that doesn't resemble us. And democracy, when it comes to a nation, they should not take it as the white do. They take it and bring in the traditional and the cultural values of the nation. You see that we are failing, mostly in Cameroon, because we don't take traditional and cultural values of our nation.
I wanted to extrapolate, Leonard, to add that beyond maybe what councillors, elected officials presented in, during the electoral period as their manifestos, there is a duty that they have, and that even for those things, they have to be held accountable. I give you examples. In 2010, the Armed Forces anniversary held in Bamenda, and projects went to the northwest, I should say, within the framework of the celebration of the 50th anniversary of Armed Forces. In 2014, the celebrations of reunification happened in Buea. Also, projects, a good chunk of projects came to the southwest region within that framework. Leonard, at the end of the day, those projects were, they summed up to exorbitant amount. But I bet you today, if you come to the northwest and southwest region, just take roads that were somewhat endorsed by MPs, for instance, and probably endorsed by the mayors, because I do not imagine that in the reception of those projects, those mayors were not there. At least I did not hear their voices, any objections in the execution of those projects. They did not raise any objections. But we got to see that all of what was done about roads in the northwest, especially Buea, in northwest, especially Bamenda, and the southwest, especially Buea.
Talking of the city of Bamenda,
especially,
yes.
Especially.
That was where Mancho BBC was caught.
Especially these two metropolis,
yes,
metropolitan cities or towns. I think that those who were elected officials at that time should be held accountable for the kind of work that was done, the kind of infrastructure that was built at that time. Because we saw roads that a lot of money had been spent on, and they deteriorated very fast. How was it that all of this was endorsed? At least the mayors, the councillors, the MPs, and in the case of the Southwest, the senators were in place. They did not raise objections on the implementation of those projects. This is what we mean by accountability. It does not necessarily mean that these projects were executed by them, but they should have a monitoring eye and be able to raise objections when things are not done right. I have talked about infrastructure, but what I've said should be reflected in every aspect of development. Once things have not gone right in every aspect of development, those who are elected to represent, they have a ticket from the people to represent the people. They should be able to speak on their behalf. Or if that does not happen, you start suspecting complacency or complicity.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This is Courage from Moyuka. Hope our municipal councillors and MPs are following. I enjoy your topic of today. Really, Mr. Leo, I am in love with this analysis today. Everybody must render accounts. Linus is writing in Befang. Mr. Leo, good evening. The problem is the structures put in place. It is difficult for citizens to hold these people directly accountable. Ignorance is also a problem. For example, a councillor will go to the mayor, tell him or her that there is a bridge linking my quarter to the other quarter. If the mayor doesn't do anything, what will councillor do? He only proposes. The mayor will tell you that due to budget constraints, it can't be done now. So the system in place makes it difficult to the masses to hold them couple respecting party hierarchy. Mr. Shu is writing from Limbe. Greetings, Mr. Liu. I'm Biakai Tume watching from Yaoundé. Okay, we have just been joined by Mr. Andrew Atemibako. Good evening and welcome. You guys, you wanted to react? Let him first.
Okay.
Andrew, welcome. Yeah.
Thank you very much, all the panelists who are here and the viewers of my media hour, my media prime.
You are late.
Yes, due to traffic.
As usual, yeah.
I wanted to say
Let him, and then yeah.
What I want to say is that we have to associate and come to be belonging to associations, and stakeholders for the past 65 years don't know their role, and I'm reminding them because I know they are my elders, they are so whatsoever. I'm telling them their role is to make sure that leaders are accountable. Being accountable is a milieu of conversation and passing the message as it is. It is not just as telling the people what is happening, it is as presenting the whole budget with papers, with the receipt of what is taking place, with all dimensions of any project that is in a community or in a constituency or municipality. This version, Cameroonians are supposed to know, because they see it is our tax money. So they are saving the population that we supposed to, like, hey, what have we done? It's long we've not discussed what is happening, and they open out. Some of them that are really lovely and they really work for the best, the interest of the communities, they like it.
Okay.
But we have not been coming up.
They like it, yes, more.
But one commentator there said something that I consider very seriously. He's talking about a situation where a municipal councillor submits to the mayor that this is needed in their area, and the mayor says there's no money. But that's the problem as municipal council. When budgets are allocated, or even subventions come from Yaoundé for projects to be handled by at the municipal council, it looks in many councils like the mayor has to distribute projects to his friends or to his family members. And that's a very wrong track to take. It's a very derailing path to take. I think that other councils have shown examples of what can be done, Leonard. A few moments ago, I was talking about Meet the People tour, where you actually, or you summon community leaders, at worst, you summon community leaders, or Meet the People tour, and people identify to you in public what their needs are. That's what you call bottom-top management. You get their needs, streamline them, and when budgets arise, you still summon community leaders and prioritize. I've seen councils function like that, where you prioritize and say, this is the budget in hand, how do we go about this? And then you can satisfy different communities piecemeal. Unfortunately, since the elections even take place in the manner that they take place, people can be voted just anyhow. The community is not even involved in project designing, project management, and all of that. The communities are not involved. We should be able to say this. So it's easy for the mayor and his councillors, some of his councillors, to feel that this money that has been given to them is at their discretion. It should not be the discretion of the mayor or councillors or just councillors for what projects have to be executed. It should come from the populations.
Okay, Andrew Atem Ibako, you are your assessment of the spirit of accountability that actually prevails amongst our elected officials, since you have also been very observant on what is happening.
Well, Mr. Leonard, I think that it has to be a collective effort where Cameroonians and the stakeholders and the government officials that has to do with accountability and decision making should be able to get to a position where efficiency, what has been disbursed, projects are equally executed on time. We also understand that there are some areas in Cameroon that are affected due to conflict. But this time around, in the 2025 budget for this year, the government had also created miscellaneous, which means that there's an extra of close to 36 billion, which has been set aside for this kind of unforeseen circumstances where projects are halted due to crisis in those conflict regions. So I think that if the Minister of Finance that came to the Northwest and the Southwest to actually open the year's budget would also build protocols for control and make sure that when these monies, which at the end of the day will be paid by the taxpayers and the other means by which the government is going to raise money to meet up the loans which they have taken for the budget for this year, they should also make sure that these disbursements for projects should be properly controlled, so that the government at the end of the day or at the end of the year should be able to see what plan they put in place, the budget that they have set for that year, and all the execution for that particular budget. Is it realized? I think that if we can build this kind of security and control, we can move from one level to another, where we are not only able to carry out projects and development, but we are also able to pay those loans and their interest, because the interest stands for about 363 million of a loan of 7,713.7 billion, which is allocated for this year, and that money is a loan which the government has taken for the budget for this year to see how the country can develop. So if we have engaged ourselves in this kind of contracts where we have this amount of money which is put down for the Cameroonians and the administration to be able to use this in order to realize projects and to see how the standard of living and the lifestyle of the Cameroonians can improve based on the resources that are put financially on the table. So if the actors can respect and work together, that is why I say it has to be collective, because at the end of the day, when some of these projects are not being executed, it still falls back to the people who are paying those taxes. It still falls back to those that are the one responsible to see that these loans are being paid, because at the end of the day, it's not the government that is going to remove this money in their private pocket. It's still going to come out from the taxpayers' money. So it is the Cameroonians that are being taxed who will be paying this loan that have just a sum of about 7,713.7 billion, which is allocated for this year. So when the minister came to Buea, and I think that was on the 15th to the 16th to open the financial year, which he was highly welcome and awarded also known to be the best finance minister in the Semak region, which he was awarded the best finance minister. We want to believe that with his skills and ability, we should be able to realize something very peculiar based on the budget that has been set aside for this year. So I think that if the actors can play their role, and if the government can also build a control team to make sure that when this money is disbursed right to our local councils, the project should be realized to its maximum.
That is the question. The question has to do with
whether there is even
a balance sheet, because now you are presenting what is happening, what is going to happen for 2025. What happened in 2022, 23, 24? Did we see our MPs, our municipal councillors come out to the people? If you cannot speak to almost everybody, Go to take 2 weeks, move to the radio stations and say, okay, I'm getting 2 hours of time. I want to render account. This is what we earmarked as projects for this year. We did not realize them. Like somebody talked about a municipal councillor presenting a budget, and the mayor says, okay, budget constraints. But what stops them from explaining? We are talking about accountability.
That is accountability.
We wanted to realize 10 projects. Because of this problem, that's what we're talking about.
Yes, that is why if you go carefully in details, the budget that has been disbursed in all of the 10 regions right down to the local council, you realize that some of the projects which some of our local communities may would have been expecting for it to be executed, the budget is not enough. So I think that we cannot expect that all of those things should be done in one particular year, but I think that progressively, as the years are going by, some of these other projects will be, because I remember in that meeting there was a mayor who, I've forgotten that village, but it should be somewhere around the Manfi Road. He did mention of a certain road that has not been tarred, and he was complaining. So the minister replied him to let him understand that sometimes when these budgets are allocated, may not be sufficient for all of these projects, where sometimes you may think that, okay, maybe the government would have allocated money to build this road and the government does not want to do it. It's just based on what has been put on the table as the budget for that year. So if you want to look at it critically, you come to realize that the development is definitely going to be progressive.
I want to say that,
but this is different from projects that have not been executed, which is what I want. I think that we should. Those are the things that we should rather focus on, projects that have not been executed. Because at the end of the day, it's a huge loss for the Cameroonians.
I want to say that the minister, the outing of the Minister of Finance may be a yardstick, but it's not a sufficient yardstick. I can refer you to some other organization. A state agency, CONAC. When CONAC talks about embezzlement in Cameroon, that tells you exactly how absent accountability is in this country, in this same country. Look, I think that we need to be able to forget the monologues that we give and get people on their feet to give account for taxpayers' money in this country. Let's not talk about the big sums of money that are given by the state. Let's even talk about what is collected from taxpayers in markets. That 100 francs, that is 100 francs that is collected. Our municipal councillors give you account of that money. Do you really think that they give you full account of that money that they collect from those petty traders? These are the issues we are talking about. That there has to be some kind of re-education for people to understand that they are called to service. They should be able to render account for what they are assigned to do. Unfortunately, it all happens like a one-man show. Once you are in office, you virtually hold that office hostage. And you become the Lord, it is you who commands. When you say, when you give, there is no mechanism to check whether it reached where that money was destined. And this is what happens in public administration.
If I want to make a correction to what you are saying, there have been some adjustments to that particular complaint this year. And some of those adjustments is that majority of the taxes that the taxpayers are paying are no longer given in cash.
Yeah, but the question is all of this, what you're explaining, happened in a meeting setting that could only contain not more than 1,000 persons.
Yes.
How do you tell the people to understand these things? Do you really render account that these are the measures that we are taking to change things? Okay, 2022, this is how things work. 2023, who is actually aware of
and how much of account can you render? Let's say the whole country, how much of account can you render in one meeting? Just talk about that.
I should.
Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we have, at a time there was what they call CONAC units in every ministry. Why those CONAC is doing its best? I think they're trying.
I want to come in.
But they end at the level of I think advisory. They're an advisory organization. CONAC can't really. It's a dog that cannot bite. Unfortunately, that's where we are. So people don't feel compelled to even give accounts. They would tell, I've had officials at CONAC who say that they've met personalities and they've told them that we don't render account to you. I have met, I mean, in my practice of journalism, that tell them we don't render account to you. So if we do not plan, if we do not give
everybody in the quarter was already sleeping. Then we just heard fire, fire, only to reach there and it was Gengo telling people,
I have won!
That's how everybody became hot.
It's gonna be hot! Millions! Smart TVs, tricycles, and 4-wheel drive to win by subscribing to an Orange bonus bundle on #111*1#, or make an Orange money transaction on #150# or via the Max It app.
Orange.
Cameroon.
Okay.
And this is a network system that goes from top to bottom. And I think that it's something that is critical and is really cause for concern, because these questions a lot of people are asking. And I still believe that we as a people, we can still make that change to see how things are done correctly, because a government is always the reflection of its people, and the people also reflect their government. So there's always a photocopy on the administration and the masses. So if we are going to make these changes, I think that it has to take a whole energy and synergy, determination of the citizens of this country to be able to speak with one voice, so that the government can put things straight. But you see, management or leadership is not just only about in the hands of the administration. It also has to do with how much the masses influences their government to make or to put policies in place which as well reflects the demands of the people. We can sit back, we can cry, we can sit back, we can complain, but the question here is, how can we solve this kind of problem? Because if it's a network, like I said, even those who loan this money from that level, the corruption is too high, the embezzlement is too high, because they are also aware that this money is being disbursed is not going for the actual execution of this money. So there are other methods which we have seen in different countries where leaders applied those methods and it actually worked, where you don't need to take the money physically, you don't need that money cash, but if you see the budget of the year, the money has been disbursed to the government, this amount of money, which means that we have illicit cash in the hands of authorities, which is not really what is secure. It cannot be secure to guarantee the lives and the destiny and future and properties of the Cameroonian citizens.
So it even starts from there.
No, it starts from top. So that is why I think that, Mr. Kumleonard, if like I said again, it's a very complicated question you have asked me that I cannot really tell you that the MPs are in that position to bring back account to their people. It's really complicated.
No, but as an MP, you are elected to go make laws in Yaoundé. When you go to Yaoundé, what stops you from coming back?
What laws are you voting?
Yeah, what stops you? There are radio stations in your constituency.
Yes,
you hold town hall meetings to say, okay, we were presented with 4, 5, 6, 7 bills. We worked on them, and these are the bills that were adopted. As simple as that. Yes. As well for senators. These are things that
I used to before he comes.
Let me learn.
Yes. Come in.
Okay, what I want to tell our population is that we are really failing ourselves, because the representatives that we have, who are the parliamentarians, they are not carrying the picture of the people. Because if they really carry the picture of the people, they have to know that Cameroonians are in pains. it is very difficult to, it is a fact that Cameroonians are facing problems to live on 800 francs a day, even 500. And all these things around the National Assembly. If the judiciary it is made independent, we shall have good policies in Cameroon. As far as we are still plugging on the basis of one-man system, it can't hold. So what I want to say here is this: all the budgets at the 21st century, we don't supposed to go for loans. I will thank late Gaddafi, who came up with the African Development Bank, though was deprived by that you best know, and no one African leader raised a finger. You see that we still have a long way to go. Even when you go back to the slavery, you see that those who sold our own people were our own sons, our own brothers and sisters. They sold us away. And we are still suffering this. We're supposed to hold our leaders accountable. Holding them accountable is an arena of dialogue. And when you see the problems, the challenges that we are going through, is because the fact that the citizens are ignorant, leaders should not manipulate on them. They should at least educate their voters, educate the citizens. But I will call also on civil societies who have been doing good work in the nation, but there are some lapses because they fail to educate the people. But since the beginning of ID Solutions Community Communication, we've been putting all our effort and telling stakeholders to work, to receive us, look into our objectives and see where they can ameliorate, and make sure that we hold and follow up in a way that we have communities-driven initiatives. Because by having community-driven initiatives, we educate the population. You're supposed to hold your leaders accountable and tell them the areas, and tell the stakeholders, the youths, the women, the media, the civil society, the political parties. But political parties today, they are looking that except the president is dead before they will take powers, and that is wrong. They're supposed to come in now, educate the population of Cameroon, and tell them their well-being, of contributing to the well-being of Cameroonians. Not that they are wishing the president dead before they will do something. It is a failure that 42 years today, opposition in Cameroon is doomed. And if even within the political parties that is the regime, they have not been able to challenge the strongman system. Thank you, Mr. Liu.
Okay, thank you very much. Shaz KB Bright is watching us from Kumba. XS Biak is watching from Womb, and Bakia Tume is watching from Yaoundé. You were going to add to what?
Yes, I just wanted to calm down the brass tacks.
Okay.
This is election year, and I think that we have to be able to say things the way they are. Probably that's the best way to educate the populace and even those who hold power now, those who dream to hold power. Leonard, there are, for instance, controversial laws that are voted in Parliament, and the population remains wondering what these laws even hold. I give you an example. The tax laws that have been voted for this year, those who went and cast their votes, they have not come back to the electorate to explain to them
What it means.
what those laws mean. I mean, I've not seen any. See, over a decade ago, I still remember I saw Honorable Etombi of Limbe
Yeah.
rallying her constituents to be able to explain to them what laws are voted in parliament.
That is good.
For the years that some people have been in parliament and on senate, things have happened and they are riding in their high horses. The population is grossly ignorant about what is happening in parliament, and they are comfortable in that ignorance. That's why I tell you it is a deliberate ploy to keep the populace in ignorance so that things can go on unchecked. But that is an aspect of lack of accountability. You say things at very high level, you condone whatever is done, even against people, laws that affect the people negatively, and then you keep them in ignorance so that the system can thrive in that. This is failure to give account. And I'm saying that the people must be able to hold those people who have refused to give them knowledge. That's the least. I should say that that's the least the people deserve.
Civic right.
If you refuse to give them infrastructural development and everything else, money and everything else, give them knowledge. They have even refused to give them knowledge. And that's what they call in pidgin bad heart.
Yes.
That's bad heart. I say that, I think I know that meaning very well. Bad heart. That's it. So we must come back to a situation where when people take office, they should know what that office represents, and they should know what it holds for them.
Okay, what it holds for them. Now, who do we blame in this situation? So is it the elected officials, political officials who have failed, who maybe themselves do not know what is expected for them or what they're supposed to be doing when they become mayors or MPs? Because when you look at their campaigns messages, you are going to make laws.
Yes.
But when you go for campaigns, you talk about peace, development. You are talking about the things that the president should do. You are the mayor. You want to be
about yours.
Yes. Nobody is talking about it. It looks like they themselves do not know what awaits them. They only learn about their role, yes, once they're in power.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Leo.
Because if I want to be an MP, I will tell the people that.
Tell people what an MP should do.
Yes, we are going to work.
Not
with
tell
this
us what a president should do. That's not their role.
Most of the representatives they call parliamentarians are worshippers. They are worshipping President Paul Biya for over the years, and
yeah, but we also have
even the senators, even the senators.
Yeah, but we have them also in the opposition.
Even in the opposition, they are doing like that. I want to quote a good example. When you hear Senator Ngole speaking.
No, it's not a senator.
It's not a senator.
It's an MP.
He was
former
a
minister.
Okay, former minister. When he wants to speak, I think the first thing is the president. Issa Chirumo has been doing it, and others have been doing it. So what I want to say here is this: the role of many representatives, they don't know, and that is the role of civil society and stakeholders, the youths, the media, all other possibilities, to educate them and tell them this is your duty. Though the fact that you go, if every session of the assembly, when you come back, you have to render to your people what you people have discussed. But it has not been happening. What is all this nonsense going about? So this 21st century, we are not more in those days of when there was no Facebook, no social media whatsoever. I am calling upon no social media users to take this opportunity not to harass their leaders, but to organize stakeholders and associations, NGOs, civil societies. Let them move to these representatives and ask them about accountability.
Where are their offices?
Uh,
How would you see them?
Let me learn.
The MP of
Let
place
them
has
go
an
there.
office.
Let them go there, and they do not meet them and make their statement and contact the media. Sell them. They should sell them out to the media. Tell them we organized this day. I wanted to see our MP or the mayor, and we never met them. We know that some of the mayors in the crisis zones are in Yaoundé, they are in Douala. When you go to the offices, they don't meet them. I know of a mayor where he was given a project to run it out, but he was not credible and well integrated. He never had the integrity to run the project and never satisfied the people. The project was taken out. You see that some of these people who are voted because of party lineage, they don't really hold to the heart of the people.
Okay, Takan Valentin Egbe is watching from Mamfi Town. Sambridge is watching also from Ganduri. Vedzek of Nerissa is watching from Yaoundé Mesasi. To be precise, Tari Tandum is watching from Boya. Ngo Tezok Elvis is watching from Yaoundé. Alvin.
So what I want to add is that we should organize workshops or seminars or open doors visit to our MPs, to our mayors. Even
that way, would you meet them?
My brother,
if you have an office where
if
you
you have
them.
an MP, you don't know him, therefore you are the problem. So what I'm saying is this: as others have been having mayors or councillors, they don't know them, therefore they are the problem. Because
you are serious?
I'm serious. I'm saying this because if you are an investigative journalist, and
no, it's not about me. I'm talking about the populace.
You have to educate the people. No. That's why we are here.
No, listen.
I'm saying this and repeating that if you have a mayor or a councillor or a representative of the National House of Assembly, you have to know him. You have to investigate and know him and go to him. That is one of the ignorance that we share with our population. We're supposed to educate our people to know them, and when you fail to know them, therefore you are the problem.
Listen to me. The mayor or the MP is the one to make self known.
Not just that.
Go out. Listen, the greater part of it is his responsibility, because he's chosen as leader. And a leader must go down to his people.
But do you know?
Take it. No, don't.
But do you know that for over 65 years you have been living living like that without the knowledge of education? No, I'm saying now let's move to them and tell them we have the powers to know what you are doing.
Okay.
Thank God. Because if we just remain
Andrew Atemebako, now let us assume that the politicians are working on the ignorance or gullibility of the electorate. Now, has the civil society itself done enough to empower the population with knowledge to hold their elected officials accountable to them?
Mr. Leonard, the terrain in which we are all making this analysis is a very complicated one.
But we have civil society organizations. What's stop them from just educating the people that, do you know that you have a municipal councillor that is representing your quarter at the level of the council? Can you go to him or her to tell you what they are doing? As simple as that.
That's it.
I'm not sure that Cameroonians are ignorant about that, Mr. Kumlona. I don't really think the Cameroonians are ignorant about that. But I think that.
Do you know the municipal councillor of your quarter?
No, I do not know.
Okay, therefore you don't have to go ahead.
No. Allow me to talk. No, I do not know. But what I'm actually saying here is that does not resolve the problem we are talking of, accountability. Because any society that does not have account balance and check is like someone who is promoting witchcraft. So I think that for me, the context in which we are trying to speak is not really the terrain in which we are actually facing. Because if you look at let's go back, because we are in a year of election. Now, when this period of election is going to be coming up, we are going to be having close to 400 political parties that will be vying in for the presidential seat. You see, so you already have minority groups which are vying to take over power, which is a very huge challenge, because the same setup and terrain in which we are talking of is also another minority group, which is the CPDM party, which I think that so far they already have 4 million voters in place standing before the election period.
Are you sure?
Well, those are statistics that were made. So now if you want to look at all the other political parties, you'll be probably finding 801 point something million. So for example, if 5 million in the CPDM party.
You know that
No, allow me to. No. What I'm saying is very simple, because we are talking of accountability, and you are expecting accountability to a government that we did not put in place. We did not.
It is our duty.
You cannot say
No.
that it's CPDM.
Yeah, but I
No.
Duty.
No,
We should
listen.
talk of the ignorance of the citizens.
No,
we are
let
listening to
him
them.
land,
No,
please.
listen.
Yeah.
You see, like I said before, a government is a reflection of its people. And when you see that accounts are not given, and people will sit down and also maybe complain. We have seen people who have actually criticized and have actually complained, but if you take them and put them in that same position, you find them doing the same thing. So I think that if we are talking here of balance, checks, and accounts, this is going to have to be a new reform of a government which is really born out of the synergy and the unity of a people that owes account to its people. Let me give you an example. To become a father simply means you have a child, but to be a husband simply means you have a wife that both of you agree. And the husband and the wife are a reflection of each other, which is not the case in which we are talking here of. So we are actually trying to expect things which ought to be natural, but in which the context in which we are actually talking is a very complicated one.
My brother, I will not
which
agree
is
with
why
you,
no
please.
which is
I will
why
not agree
which
with
is
you
why
because
let me
Please
We
let
have
him
been
land. You
living-
are going to come in.
allow
please.
me to talk. You run a family equally as we all run a family.
not
Nobody
about a family,
needs
but running
to
a
tell
country.
you what to do in your family, because by default, as a father or as a responsible head of the family, you know what is good for your family. But what I'm saying here is that the terrain which we find ourselves is not in this light. So we can complain and make all this analysis. At the end of the day, if these changes does not come either from bottom or from top, we are all wasting our time. So that's why I said in the beginning that it's a network system. So whether it's your MP, whether it's your senator, whether it's your mayor, when they go out, at the end of the day, they cannot influence the network which is set in place. It's practically impossible. And that is why you cannot impose. It's like somebody comes into your organization and he brings in and comes and installs his own office. And you tell the person that, I know you have an office here, but this organization, I run this organization, and this is how things are done here. So you come in with your own agenda, but at the end of the day, you cannot fully execute it. And it goes right up to the level of leadership that we have seen around. So what I'm saying here is that the things that we are talking of, to amend them and to fix them, is not going to happen under this atmosphere of things. It's very challenging. It's very, very challenging.
Let me react to that.
It's very, very challenging.
This is what I've abundantly said before, and I've abundantly written about. Leonard, personally, I do not want to get this story of I am MP or I am mayor, I'm senator, I'm in a system where I cannot do
Bring change.
anything different. This is a story that should not be told in the quarters.
Yes,
If you find yourself not fit
you allow things be.
to cut off that beaten track, that dirty beaten track, do not vie for an elective position. Do not, because that story is vexing, it is nasty, it is anything to come and say that you could not do what was right because you were in a system. That's a story. It's a very dirty story to tell.
There's nothing.
The issue of network,
I will tell
the
you
issue
one
of network you are
thing.
talking
I'll
about.
tell you one thing and I'll give you an example. If you today,
Yes.
with all the goodwill
Yes.
and, I mean, expectations that you have,
Right.
and you are put in a position of leadership, then you understand things that right now you don't understand. You are just speaking because you see it from a layman's side. It's just like people watching football.
You think I'm a layman?
You think
Okay.
like, I'm giving you an example. It's,
Okay.
it's like
Let
people
me-
watching football, But if they put you in that field to play and see how players are running, you come to understand that things are not done that way.
That's the way
A
you
good
see.
example would be, I remember in Kumba late back when you had Nokombele, who was the city mayor there. Now we saw the development, fast development he was bringing to that city. Now you had another family, which saw it as a confrontation, something which was challenging because those were the custodians of the land. And then they saw a son who was bringing light to the city. It didn't take long for them to say, okay, here we put you a stop to it. And we bring in somebody who is going to do what we feel comfortable.
That's okay. You are out.
So what I'm simply trying to tell you here is that you may not get what I'm trying to say. When you say that if you are not fit, there are people who are fit. You think those people are in those position of leaders, you think they are not fit. You think they don't know what to do. They know what to do,
No.
but I'm simply trying to tell you that it doesn't work the way your imagination.
No, what I'm saying is that
works. It
once
doesn't go that
Let
way.
me
once
give you
once
a-
you
It doesn't
cannot
go that way.
example
Not
just
even
of
at the
reference.
level of our presidency. It
Just-
does not work
just-
like
just-
that.
I want to give an
Those are
example
simple
just for
facts that we
reference.
have to
My
admit.
brother, please.
And if
What
you don't
and
admit them,
this is-
at the end of the day,
I
you
want
live
to
in an
intervene.
illusion.
Just
This-
of
Now,
reference.
if you think,
The
if you
Lord
think,
Mayor-
no, this is
The-
you
the-
shouldn't
so I'm
be
asking you
saying
that you
this.
think, that's why I'm telling you that you think that maybe the Cameroonians are ignorant. Let me be honest with you. Cameroonians are one of the most intelligent Africans
I do
in
not
Africa.
dispute it.
So don't say,
I do
don't
not-
tell me they don't know
I
what
have
to
not
do.
said they are not.
We have seen
intelligent.
countries where
What I'm saying
we
is
have seen
that
countries
that
where people are
what you are preaching is
the
complacency
illiteracy
and
rate in
complicity.
such countries
I will
are
not
too
be part
high.
of that.
But you see the thing, the kind of changes they
No,
make.
no, 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 no.
Cameroon
You
has
shouldn't
not
say
been
that
there.
yet.
Mr. Leonard, before I
You
get
see,
out
don't
of
make
this
those kind of
place,
analysis.
When you
as
say
if
that, it
this our
denigrates
brother-
No.
denigrates
No.
our
No.
human beings.
No.
is an accomplice. of
No,
what's taking
that's
place
it.
in
That's
Cameroon.
What do you mean
complicity.
by
You
accomplice?
are an accomplice.
I have
That-
given
that's
you,
it.
You
I
are
have
not
given you
able
a
to
simple example.
tell
No.
Cameroonians.
I have
He has
given you a
said- he has
simple
said-
example.
yes,
If
he
you
has
are
said-
employed,
Oh, please, let me
take
learn.
it as an employment. If you are employed in a company,
Yeah.
you come in with your expertise, you come in with your experience, you come
We
in
are
with
talking
your.
of a nation.
Allow me,
not
it's-
company.
it's
Please,
an
don't
analysis.
belittle
A nation is
Cameroonians.
run as
no,
a
don't
nation
belittle
is
the
run as an
Cameroonians
organization.
to an-
If you do
an
not know,
organization.
they are
Don't-
registered as
don't belittle the
organizations.
Cameroonians. Please.
So even though they have their sovereignty, but they are registered as an organization under a common government,
My
which
brother,
is the United Nations. So what I'm
I
trying
am
to tell
telling
you here,
yes.
what
I
I'm
want to.
explaining
I want
here
to.
is that
I want to tell you
you
something.
may come in with all these experiences. You may come in with all your portfolio, your citations, your CV, but at the end of the day, you are under somebody's
Who is
command.
that? Who is that somebody?
And that is why I'm saying that when you go there,
Who
there
is that
already
somebody?
a
That
system
somebody
which
is
in
poor
place.
governance.
You
Because
are-
we
you're
talk
saying-
of
And if you don't think,
institutions.
and if you don't think
When
it's
the
that way, if you
institutions
don't
are
think
good,
it is like
you
that,
don't think of somebody.
then try one day and get into a position of leadership. Then you understand what I'm talking about.
Okay, to take it over, I will relate and tell you my brother, the super mayor, the city mayor of Douala, and the city mayor of Yaoundé, just of recent visited the mayor of Garoua. They visited the mayor of Garoua to take some expertise and knowledge of how cities are being managed and the development of the city is being taken forward. When you look, you see that Yaoundé for the past times has been so dirty, even Douala. But if in the field of expertise, do you believe that the city mayor of Douala and Yaoundé should go for lessons in Garoua? It means we have to be conscious enough and work on our conscience and see that we serve the people. But when you are voted and you go over with a mean mind of serving yourself, you find yourself in where you are talking. Leadership at the 21st century is something that should have a big picture of representing the people, not self. I'm inviting all the communities cutting across Cameroon to look at the bigger picture, at the interest of those who really represent the interests of the communities or the constituents or municipalities or constituents, and vote them in. because we are talking of presidential election. I am instead seeing of 2026 where legislative and ministerial elections shall be coming in. That is where the communities should at least sit up and say, even the person is insipid, write a petition and say this person has not been doing it well. I saw schools in the northern region where they are sitting in an open area where there's sun, rain fall on them, and wind blows on children. They don't even learn well. They are traumatized. They are depressed just because they are aligning because of a certain political party which doesn't represent the image of the people. So I'm saying and repeating that, let people, even this year, except to hold leaders accountable. Hey, if you are coming with a political agenda, what are you going to do? And if you don't represent the people, they put you out of game. So what you are explaining, we Cameroonians are intellectuals, and they have long passed what you are saying. Please, Cameroonians have long passed what you are putting up. Some are not even voted, and they find themselves in the government.
All right, so now
they are not voted.
Yeah, but you people give the impression
No.
that we are talking about CPDM MPs and senators.
Yes.
We have opposition. I'm sure that Kampala Libi has
Exactly.
municipal councillors.
Yes.
They do.
Kumbodo. There are so many. So many
okay.
of them. Yeah. Please.
What I think I want to dislodge this ideology of towing the line when you are in public administration. If you are talking about towing a line as a political party, that's okay, because people have opted for towing the line in political parties. But when you are in a system of government, and when you are ensuring good governance, when you are out for good governance,
Your people love you.
there is nothing like towing the line. In fact, if you want good governance, if you want democracy, if you want to ensure human rights, you should have a revolutionary mind. And that's what it's about. I do not want to get the impression that people should be told, okay, the system is like that. When you get
must
inside,
align.
what system? Is that what the law
Have to
says?
come out of it.
We talk about good governance. When you set out for a mission, your Bible is good governance. It's democracy. It's human rights. Anything outside that is outlaw. And that's what I think. When you even preach, when you preach networks that obtain like that,
Yes.
consider it even outlaw.
It's outlaw, lawlessness.
I consider that outlaw, because let me tell you, when you are in a system of governance, you know, it's a pas comme les loges, like the franc-maçon. It's not. That should have nothing to do with you. Don't tell me that a system has been planted. People have to come and that's absurd. That's absurd.
You have to go
Then
beyond that.
you have to live in the spiritual. We
Yes.
we are physical beings. Sir.
What you are saying,
Yeah.
you say it so beautifully well,
You-
but
you
it's theory. What you are saying is theory.
We
are
have to-
talking.
No,
we are-
I
we
do
are-
not. I do not even know what you.
Allow me to
I do
talk.
not know what you
I'm
don't call
telling you, I'm
theory.
telling you, yeah, what I'm saying
Should be
theory is
pragmatic.
because that is what we all wish, but that's not the reality on ground. Which is
We
why
have
I'm
to
trying.
preach it.
Which is why I'm.
let
No,
him-
no. Allow me to talk now. When you say we, there are very simple and private examples that we can give, maybe on our own individual self that we are unable to manage. But it's easy for us to blame leadership. We are not saying that we don't have problem of leadership. The question because when we talk about balancing accounts and checks, accountability, it all comes to proper leadership which abides and meets the demands of his people, and also understand. That is why I gave an analogy between a father and a husband. So the kind of leaders that we need, which you say that they have
I
to,
think
they
we
have
should
to be
concentrate this
It's
discussion
revolutionary.
on accountability.
No, allow me. When you talk about minds that are revolutionary, you see, then you have to come up with a new system. But you don't take that kind of a mind in a well-built, structured system. They take you out.
There's
So
no
this
structure
is.
here.
What's the
There is
meaning
no-
of
But
structure?
when you talk about network, when you talk about system, what do you talk about system? System is a network. It's a network that has been set in place for a particular way for things to be done. That is what a system is all about. So what I'm simply trying to tell you is that we complain. The question here is who votes? Is it them who vote themselves, or is it the people who vote them? So you come to realize that if we have to even look at it critically and make proper analysis, you don't even have to blame those leaders. You blame the people, because the people are reflections of the leaders which they go to vote. So this is coming back to us. So when you want now to remove the blame from the hands of leadership and you bring it down to the masses, then you say that we should build synergy. Synergy where we are all agreed on one objective, goals, we have common objectives, and then we now bring out a leader who is going to meet these demands. Then you are now making a way forward. But in a setup where there is party politics, there's bad politics, there's personal interest, there's protection of party ethics, you cannot implement these things that you are saying. That's why I'm trying to say that the terrain in which we are is make it very, very complicated, that we can sit all day, condemn leaders, insult these leaders, and you think that maybe if they put you there, you do better than them, or you think that you are well skilled than them. You think that they need to be informed about their job description. The answer is no. But when it is a system, no matter how good you are, when you come in there are certain things you have to you have to comply with in order for the system to maintain the way it has been built. And this is what I'm trying to tell you, that we have an election that is coming up, and we are talking of checks and balances, accountability. How do we approach it? Do we approach it and repeating the same system that we have been using in all those years of election, or the 2024 or 2023? If we do the same things, we get the same result, and we keep complaining the same things every day. So now what do we do if we are now sitting here and you are talking about educating the public? Tell the public that bad politics is not good. Tell them that political party actually is a distraction and it's a business to exploit and to make merchandise of the people and to keep the people in ignorance. But that's all about politics. Politics simply means retaining a great amount of information in order to control those who are less informed. And sometimes good leaders do it for proper management, because if you don't do it that way, you will not be able to control the people. But now, when you have bad politics, the people use it now for their own personal interest, which is why I'm telling you that for me, if you come back, it still comes back to us. Because if we want to go into our own private lives, families, there are things that people will have, either our wives or either our children, complaining that we are not able to do them. So let's not go about blaming, insulting, because we think that we are not there and they are there and they are not doing the right thing. It comes back to us because we vote them. And take note again about something. Do never ever expect somebody you never voted to make the kind of changes that you are looking for. If you want to have a leader who is going to make the kind of changes that you are looking for, then you will have to vote such a leader. Okay. And this is the system in which we are.
Accept that.
Please, can we be orderly? Please, can we be orderly?
Yes.
Berinu If is watching us from Yaoundé, Imana. Bertrand Amin is watching us from Etugebe, Yaoundé. Kalista Nje is watching from Bamenda. Tafri Kevin is watching from Douala. Njola Brenda is watching from Kumbu. Claudette Laika is watching, from Fumbat. Newsini Lucius Joshua is watching from Bamenda. Ula Chichi is watching from Dopchin. Bon Moyong Steel is watching live from Mancon. Nas Cyprian is watching from Aramwum. Zamatu Javi is watching from Old Town Bamenda. Yes, you are not too d'accord. But now, how do we start preparing the minds of the people and also those who are going to be elected to start building this? Because it is also knowledge. They may not be rendering account out of ignorance. But just to say that, Andrew, there are some who render account, who come back from.
We know.
Yeah.
We know.
Thank God he came down.
The high horse.
I think I endorse the latter part of his discourse when he says, "Do not expect people to do what you expect if you did not vote them." I think that's just logical. but we're not saying that. That is not also to say that
Should not be
when
considered.
you are not voted by a certain party, that party should not work for you.
That is it.
That's not also to say that. That I consider that as a push for people to get involved in the electoral process.
Exactly.
Yes, that's how I consider it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they should get actively
Exactly.
involved
That's
in
what we need to
in
tell
the
people.
electoral process.
That's what we need to tell the people.
Whether there are systems or not, get involved in the electoral process, and that's what I call that might be the
That's where change will come.
yeah,
That's
that
where
may
change
be
will
the
come.
revolution.
Exactly.
The revolution of the policies.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's where it may come.
Exactly.
That said, Leonard, you have said it. Some elected officials are not aware. In fact, they are ignorant of what their actual duties are. You imagine that somebody comes out for campaigns, like you said earlier, he's going in for municipal councillor. Paul Biya is in Yaoundé, and he's telling the people what Paul Biya has done in Bomaka, in Boya. What Paul Biya has done in Boya, or what Paul Biya has done in Yaoundé. The people are not told what the constituency of Bomaka, my 14, will benefit from their mandate. But such a candidate is voted. What directly do you benefit in local development from that councillor? And this is where the problem is, because they are not even, the people do not even know how councillors are selected. There is no setting where, okay, they say the constituency has met, and there's no such setting. They just call you and say, you'll be part of my list. Ask such a person what it means to be a councillor. They will not be able to tell you. But they are in the list of 41 councillors. And they become, a lot of them become stooges to the mayor. You have to be seen everywhere with the mayor answering honorable.
Present.
Honorable. What honorable means, you can't tell the people.
Yes.
This is the problem, because how they are even selected is part of the problem. You are just called, and to be very frank, they don't even know the problems of their community. At the end of the day, they're looking for projects when they are already councillor. They're trying to identify what can be a problem when the mandate is already running out. And when such a project is even given from council budget, it looks like somebody has given money for some person who did not have food to eat. So you don't see what is done as concerns project. You see, the problem is, at the end of it, it's education. Sensitization, it's not there.
I think when we
Okay.
have just come up to make sure that we inform the public that for over 64, getting to 65 years, we have not been holding our leaders accountable. And when we say it is something that is impossible, I say no, it is not impossible. It's an arena of discussion, and I think to give and take. Because if you go out there that people should vote you, should be able to tell them what you have been doing for them for the past years. So what has been going on, some councillors doesn't reflect the people they represent, even some mayors and some parliamentarians. It's time we use this fact of communities-led initiatives, try to see that we educate the population, the villages, the communities, to reflect and write even petitions to the government, and tell the government clearly that upon the past years. Imagine we are getting to 4 years or 5 years. Some councillors or some parliamentarians and mayors have not been working in their communities, in their constituents and their municipalities.
You want to write?
So,
you want to write petitions to the government on that?
I'm telling you, there are law channels. When you don't follow the law and you don't follow the channels, they can't listen to you.
Government channel. What this man is saying. Let me not.
Government channels.
Let me condense what he said.
No, you. What he's saying that no.
Let me condense
what he's
what
saying
he said
about the system, right?
No, excuse me.
You can clack on the system and
just
break it out.
No, just 1 minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Just 1 minute. This is important. We have to have a coherent discussion.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
He has said, and I repeated that. He has said that. You need to get people on board to be able to revolutionize. That's what he meant.
That's what I'm coming in.
No,
that's why I'm coming in.
I think is that you should look at the direction where even if people have not done taken their responsibilities as elected officials, this thing of writing petitions does not hold. You are writing to a system that is mentioned. Let's say this, and that's where I endorse what he said at the end. You are writing to a system that has it's a network. Revolutionize.
I won't accept. I won't take your point of trying to revolutionize with the people out there.
No, listen,
I say, and I know what I'm saying.
People,
I hold to it that
people to uproot the system.
To uproot the system is to follow the law and move according to the law. There are channels of law that when you pass,
vote is law. You don't know that.
Let me learn. When you follow the channels of passing information to government agencies, the problems are being solved. What we have been failing is that there is not enough communication between the low class and the people.
Let me repeat.
You are cutting me.
Revolution is an election.
No. When you say revolution, which is election, right? It is accountability. When you see that this system has not hold, or this representative has not hold to what you want, you do what? You sanction. No, you sanction by the vote, right? And there is also petition that civil societies follow up. Many civil societies don't know that they should carry the picture of the people. There are petitions that you can take to the traditional ruler, or to the municipal councillor, or to parliamentarian, or to the STO, or the divisional officer, or to the governor and ministers, or prime minister and the president. So when we talk of petitions, you just think of no. The thing is this: we have to follow the law channels and make sure that we build a community that is not lawlessness as what is going on right now.
But let's emphasize in the context where we are.
Yes,
it needs a revolution.
No,
and you have to listen.
Okay.
The revolution we're talking about is people have to put their names on the registers and vote
in decision making.
Because
the
system does not permit even your petition to work.
That's the simple truth.
Because people have not been following up.
Okay.
That's what
we have a machinery, a locomotive for that.
Okay. Ngwa Kingsley is writing us from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Kingsley. This one says, good evening, Mr. Kum. Kilo Ernest is watching from Boya. Good evening to you, Kilo Ernest. New Gap George Banta watching from Fumbot. You say quite an interesting program. Good evening to you. Happy New Year, Leonard writing from Boya. Okay, good evening to you. Many persons are saying that there is no sound in Boya. I don't know, though we have some who are getting that. It looks like there is a network in Boya that does not have sound. I don't know whether it is which of the networks. Okay? Oops. Please, careful. Mr. Ngufo Calvin is watching us from Bamenda Santa. Good evening to you. Mr. Liu, the topic is very constructive. Monko Matthew, writing from Douala Bona Berry. I'm so delighted watching the program from Jean Vespa Yaoundé, Azong Romanus Sondor, okay.
Greeting for me.
Okay.
Azong Romanus.
It's continue. Greetings. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This is very good topic as it opens the minds of Cameroonians with regards to the upcoming elections. Thank you very much. Okay. We have some few minutes to go. Many persons are hoping to become the next mayors, the next senators and parliamentarians. Yes, what should be their duty? Should they go telling what Chairman OC has done, what the national president of the CPDM has done, or the president, or should they start educating the people that, okay, if you elect me as an MP, I'll go and make good laws. And I would also expect that by the end of my mandate, you should judge what I've done.
Like again, Mr. Leonard, I strongly believe that sensitizing the Cameroonians to be active and fully participating in politics, in decision making, in actually being in full process of how we choose the leaders that are going to reflect the demands of the people. This is the base and the foundation to make corrections to so many things that we are complaining today. If we do not have the masses, the citizens of this country, of a population of close to 27 million, who are fully active and concerned on how the future is going to look like based on the decisions that we are going to make today. If they do not participate, and at the end of the day, the consequences will still fall on them, and they will be the ones still complaining. So that's why I say that the people are the government, and the government is the people. So that simply means that if we have a government in place that does not reflect the people, that simply means that we don't have any government, because the government is supposed to be the people, and the people are not in synergy. The people are not united. The people are not under a common objective of building a nation that is going to reflect them and putting the kind of leaders that are going to meet the demands of the people. So it comes back to us and not the government, which we are the government and which we put those government in office. So it's like we actually have a government in Cameroon which is not a government for the people, because the people are not the government. So do we blame the government? The answer is no. They are just there doing their own thing, and making sure that things run in the interest of best as they can do. But at the end of the day, it cannot be satisfactory to everybody, which is why I am saying, if you have to ask me this year, prior to the presidential election, I don't think that if we have to go down through this road that we have been over 60 years running behind political parties, believing that this change is going to come from this political party, I don't think that it has helped us. Let us take a different approach, Mr. Komleona, because we seem to have a father who has children with different women, over 300 and something women. That's how Biya today has become the head of state. It's like a father who has almost close to 300 and something women with all these children, which we're talking of the population of about 27. So if we have to go like this, you come to realize that we do not have what they call a head. For you to have the title of headship, that simply means you should have a body which is subject to that leadership, and the leadership is subject, hanging on that body. And this has to be like a husband, somebody who by default knows what is good for his people. And it must not again come through an election. It only comes through the synergy of the people who have come together. Not that we are opposing government. We don't oppose government. We don't oppose our leadership. Our problem is us, the people, who are not united. We don't even know what we want. At the end of the day, Mr. Komleona, we talk about balances are not met in the government. Checks are not met in the government, but at the end of the day, you come back to our local Cameroonian citizens. We are heavily corrupted. We are not honest people. So you come to realize, that's why I said before that we are the reflection of our government. And if the change is going to come, trust me, it will not come from up there. It will only take the people. It will take us to reach at one point and say, enough is enough. This is not what we want, and this is what we want. And I think that the government or the current administration is going to appreciate the efforts of the Cameroonians to see how we all collectively are coming together to build a country. Because at the end of the day, Mr. Komleona, let me say something very important. We have made leadership very challenging in Africa, especially in the context of Cameroon. we will sit and complain and fail to understand that we are the ones creating the same problems that we are complaining. And we are making leadership become very, very difficult because of bad politics and partisan politics. It makes change become very difficult, and we are even resistant to change. And that's why you see us embezzling, because we are not patriots. We feel that we are in how do I put it? We feel that we are in some kind of a venture where if you don't take your own, then you are going to lose. So we have to change our mindset as Cameroonians. There is no leader who will be put by a united people and is not subject to those people. It's like they take you to go and swear in front of a spirit. That is what you do. You do it without any law existing, because you have taken an oath in front of Ogugu. You do it. So let us understand that leadership has to fall back first on us as Cameroonians, to encourage all Cameroonians that if we are entering this 2025, which we have entered for the presidential election, let us believe of unity, so that the masses should go out and vote in masses that this is what we want, and then we'll start seeing the right changes that we need in this country, but not in this division. There is no house that will ever stand by being in division. It will never stand.
Thank you so much. What I want to say here, my fellow panelists, we are talking of the candidates of 2025. It's a new era that we have to portray their image. And when I go and look about what the STF president portray as being a candidate that they are going to present for 2025 presidential election, that you must put in place 50 millions. I ask myself and Cameroonians out there, how much do we put in place to become the president or to stand as a presidential candidate for Cameroon before a political party is presenting that a candidate must put 50 millions before becoming a presidential candidate?
Question.
So, being said, what we are telling Cameroonians, this is, we should not vote persons. We should vote what is the agenda or the political program of a candidate. That is what interests us. Because these sounds of singing, going back, this is this, that is this, is nonsense. We should at least open up, make sure we follow our candidates that are on the competition, and listen to them. When we listen to them, we see who can do what and how can he do it. Because we've been having leaders that we spend some time without seeing them. It has been rumors and it has been written, alleged that the present president have been going out, spending days and trying to oversee this. We are calling upon our leaders to have Cameroon at heart. That should be the first priority, because the interests of the people are being abused on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you. We are out of time. Paul, thank you for coming.
Well, this is 2025, and it's a year of elections, so you would say that there's something in the offing, and those political adventurers who got positions and disappeared into oblivion, they are beginning to come back. I'd like to ask the Cameroonians of all walks of life, how long ago did you last see your MP? How long ago did you last see your councillors, your senators, your regional councillors, and all of that? When they took votes, when they took your votes and went away with them,
what have they even done?
Have you seen them around? And if you've seen them around, how long ago did they start coming back to you? Was it not just at the end of last year, towards the end of last year, or the beginning of this year? Because it's time again to come and beg for your votes, and so they're coming around again. I like to trigger your mind. I'm talking to the citizens. Are you going to take another give them another mandate to leave you, come back at the nick of time to come and get other votes? Please, when people talk about investiture, when they will invest their candidates and bring them to present to you, ask them where they were chosen. Did they choose because you told them that this was the right person to take from our midst? Or they just sat in Yaoundé and wrote names and gave so that people should come and lord it over you? And then that would be a mandate that has been squandered with nothing to show for it.
Thank you, Paul, and also to you, Andrew.
Mr. Kumnuna, should I say something last for a few seconds? Well, any house that is divided against itself can only produce leaders that are going to work against their people. So if we learn to stay together, we build unity, synergy, we'll be able to have the kind of leaders that we actually desire and deserve. It's just like marriage. Thank you very much.
Okay, I want to thank you all for accepting our invitations to be part of tonight's edition of the program. Thank you to the producers, Eli and Desmond, and to you, Tabitha and Brian, for supervision. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.